Okay, so now that we know what a graph is, a visual representation of data, what we use graphs for is to look at a situation and answer questions. So that's what's happening in this next video. What I have is I've got a scatter plot of my grandson Kit, right, walking away from me. And on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis, I have time measured in seconds. So 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, all the way to 7 seconds. And then on the y-axis, I have the distance that he is. So at 0 seconds, he was 4 feet away. At 1 second, he was 6 feet away. At 3 seconds, he was 2 feet away again. And so forth and so forth and so on. So what I have is a visual representation of Kit, my grandson, walking away from me. All right? And so basically, what we can now do is, based off of that visualization of the data, I can start answering some questions. So how far was Kit after 3 seconds? Well, all I have to do is go look at the time value, right, of 3 seconds. There it is on the horizontal axis. And then go take a look. What does that seem to be equal to along the y-axis, all right, the horizontal axis? Well, it looks like the distance was 2 feet. All right, so at 3 seconds, he was 2 feet away. Bigger picture, I gave myself an x value. You use the graph to find the y value. Again, I'm sneaking some language at you guys. Or otherwise, I gave you a horizontal value. You found the vertical value for that horizontal value. Next question, at what time was Kit 8 feet away? Well, you'll notice this time I gave you a horizontal value, or a y value, and you have to basically find the... Let me reverse that. I gave you a vertical value, all right, and you have to go back and find the horizontal value. Or in essence, I gave you a y value, and you got to find the corresponding x value. Sorry about my language there. So we're going to go to y equals to 8, and it looks like that data point right there is the guy that satisfies it. And so when we look down, right, it looks like 5 seconds would be the correct idea. So in either case, I can give you a horizontal value. You use the data, the picture, to find the vertical value. Or I gave you a vertical value, and you can use that to find the horizontal one. All right, so we're basically answering questions based off of that. Next question is a little more difficult. We'll talk about it. How far was Kit at 2 seconds? So this time, again, I gave you a horizontal value. There's where x equals to 2, and we'll notice there doesn't seem to be a data set that goes along with it. And so we're kind of left to guess what happened. And here, this type of situation that we have, what we're going to do is called interpolation. Inter means between, and polation means guess. So the 2 lies within the data set that I have. And so we're just going to come up with a guess based off of the data that I already see. Now, there's not an exact science to this. There's actually an infinite number of answers to this question. It just begs, what do you see? What kind of pattern do you see happening? So all I ask from you guys when you're doing something like this on a quiz, if you show me what you think is happening during this time frame, and you base your answer off of that sketch, then I really can't mark you wrong, because it's a interpolation, it's a guess. So here's what I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing, it looks like if I did a line graph, it looks like baby Kit, right, walked away, and then from 1 to 3 seconds he started walking back. All right, and so there's basically what I'm seeing. Of course, you could see something else. Maybe he kept walking away and came back faster. Maybe, he walked away, came back, and went up. Again, it varies. We don't really know. It's a guess. All right, but based off of that guess, now I can answer the question, because it looks like at 2 seconds, right, it looks like baby Kit was basically 4 feet away. All right, and that's how I'd basically be answering that question. Now, again, if you see something differently happening in the data set, your answer will be different. But in order to get full credit, make sure you're telling me what you think is happening. All right, just don't give me some answer floating around, because then I'll ask, well, how'd you get that? And at least this way, you can follow my work, right? So why'd I answer 4 feet? Because this is what I'm thinking happening between 1 and 3 seconds. It's basically on this pattern. So at 2 seconds, he's 4 feet away. So the next question, right? I guess those were questions. How far is Kit at 7 seconds? So when we go look at our data set, here's 7 seconds, but then again, we have another huge problem, right? Because not only do I not know, right, there's no data set associated with 7, but it is actually outside of the data set. So I can't even get a feel for what's going on from point to point. So when you're doing this, the technical name for this is extrapolation. Extra meaning outside, and polation meaning guess. So we're going to make a guess outside of the data set. Just like interpolation, there's no exact science to this. We just basically make a guess off what I think is happening. And again, make sure you show me what you think is happening. So here's what I see happening. He started walking away, he came back, he started walking away, and he came back, and then I'm just going to assume he keeps coming back. All right, and so there's basically my assumption on what he's going to do, right, at 7 seconds. Now, of course, some of you might say, well, maybe he stayed away, maybe he walked away again, right? So depending on what you think's happening, right, your answer would be different. Again, it's a guess. So I'm going to go with my initial idea. I think this is what's going on. So based off of that, I'm going to go to 7 and come up here, and it looks like it has a value that's associated right between 2 and 4. So the halfway point between 2 and 4 is 3. So my best estimate, my extrapolated guess for the data that I have, it looks like he is basically going to be 3 feet away. Now, of course, we don't know the exact answer to that because the data stopped at 6. But that hopefully gives you an idea of how we can use a graph to start answering questions. We either have a nice distinct data point that's very clear, we have a data point that lies within the data set and I take a guess, or we have a data point that's outside of we have a question that's outside of the data set, and again, we have to take an educated guess. Alrighty, so make sure you're clear on what you think's happening, and then I can't really mark you wrong based off of, unless you totally screwed it up. Like if I had said this was 4 or 2, that's way off. It looks like it's 3. Alright, so it's probably the only thing I could do to mark you wrong, but tell me what you think's happening and go for it. Otherwise, if there's a nice clear point, just make sure you're reading the point right. Alright, so that kind of gives you an idea of how we visualize data and how we can use that visualization of data to actually answer some questions. Alright, so much more to this, but that's what Chapter 3 is all about. Talk to you guys later.